Welcome to UWS Weekly, a show that is dedicated to covering United Women's Soccer, a national pro-am league with your host, Jonathan Ward. Each and every week, we will highlight players, supporters, and staff of the clubs we all pride ourselves to support in North America. The UWS is a league that is committed to advancing women's soccer. Good evening, soccer fans, and welcome to UWS Weekly, a show dedicated to the best pro-am league in the world. My name is Jonathan, and eventually, shortly, I will be joined by members of the FC Buffalo women's team, the newest team to the Eastern Conference of the UWS. Before we get started tonight, let's go over some league news as we had a large announcement for the primary competition outline for the 2021 season. With a record number of 40 teams competing in 5 conferences across the US and Canada, the National Pro-Am League kicks off their regular season on May 8th and will culminate with a national championship on the weekend of July 23rd and 25th. Conference schedules will be released sometime this month, so stay tuned as we get closer for those schedules to be launched. All in all, there will be a total of 80 teams between UWS and UWS2. The league's new developmental pathway for U20 through U23 players, and the official division for the UWS reserve teams. Since its inception in 2016, UWS has prioritized quality over quantity, and going into the 2021 season, the league is in full stride with a core of like-minded member clubs that share in the mission to advance women's soccer through professional level standards of operation. So the season, as you can see, formats the start date May 8th, with the regular season ending on or before July 15th. July 11th, I'm sorry. July 15th will be the start of conference playoffs, and then July 23rd through the 25th is going to be the national championship weekend. Can't wait for that. It's going to be awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, just as we get going, it is an exciting time in the 716. If you are a Buffalo Bills fan and ready for FC Buffalo to start. On the show representing the club, we have this evening Nick Mendola, who is the co-founder and co-owner of the club and also is a current NBC sports writer. Liz Mantell, who is the jack of all trades, who was the jack of all trades for the men's side and is now the director of women's soccer for the club. And Charisma Katrina, who returns to Buffalo or is still in Buffalo after a successful career at the University of Buffalo and the UWS with the Flash, where she made All East Conference in 2017 and 18. So without further ado, please welcome Nick, Liz, and Charisma to the show. You three, how are you doing this evening in Buffalo?
Good. Warm.
Awesome. Nick, how are you? Everything good?
Yeah, doing really well. Excited to be here and to have this great group of women leading us into UWS. I mean, it's a thrill. It's something we didn't think we'd get a chance to do, and now we're sure doing it.
Awesome. And Charisma, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having us on, and I'm looking forward to this coming summer with FC Buffalo.
Awesome. Well, before we get started, why don't the three of you take a second, tell us about yourselves and how you got started in the game that we all love.
Liz, go ahead.
I'll go first. Let's see. I have been playing really all my life. My dad played soccer in high school, so naturally just kind of got into it. And I played all the way up until college. I was drafted to a small school and just decided the fit wasn't for me. But that didn't mean I stopped playing. I played well into my adult years. It's kind of how I met people in new cities that my job took me to. So yeah, I mean, the game's just kind of always been a part of my life, whether playing or just being a fan of it.
Yeah, so I guess interesting. I played hockey my whole life with a lot of Buffalonians, and I went to a new school in high school, and I got hurt playing football. I was only playing football to meet people, and my mom, wise woman that she is, says I don't care what you do to stay in shape for hockey, but don't do that anymore. And my best friend at the time at Ken Maurice, where I went to school, was the best soccer player on the team. And I was going to run cross country to stay in shape for hockey. And he said, dude, do soccer. It's cross country with the ball. And the rest is history. So, I got fit and then fell in love with probably the U.S. men's national team first, more than anything. Started going to their games a lot, and and fell kind of backwards into owning a soccer team, which I'm sure a lot of people don't say out loud ever.
I started playing soccer when I was 5 years old. My parents signed me up. My parents always dragged me to a couple of my older sisters' house league games, and I really, from that point on, I've always wanted to play soccer. I've always loved playing the game, and then that brought me through various youth clubs and all the way through college. And I had a couple major injuries during my college career, but I'm thankful for the opportunity now to still be able to play the game that I love.
Awesome. Well, Nick, what got you interested and motivated to start this club? Obviously, FC Buffalo's men's program has been around for some time, but now we're venturing onto the WOSO side. What got you motivated and interested?
Yeah, so I mean, we were always interested, but there were teams here. There were professional teams here, and I mean, when you've got a chance to, and I was fortunate to be the play-by-play guy when literally, I think probably the best team ever was right here in West New York with Christine Sinclair and Marta. I mean, Ashlyn Harris was fighting for time. Alex Morgan was a rookie. So, I mean, not that we didn't want to do it, but there's plenty of youth clubs around here for that higher level. But this was going to be the third year without it. And we felt like we might be able to do it. And I was fortunate that one of our former players for a long, long time, Jake Reno, was married to Courtney Mann Reno, who I've known forever and is just one of the best people I've ever met. And so I called them up one night and I said, listen, I think we've got an opportunity to do something here, to kind of do it independently, to do it at a community level, to be an inclusive team, more importantly, to be a women-led team. But I'm going to need the right women for it. Courtney, can you help me find them? And not a surprise, you talk to a very good person, a very good influential person, and they know other very good influential person. So Liz had already been on our staff, and frankly, this is absolutely perfect for her. I mean, she could probably do my job better than me in the first place. And, Carissima went to my alma mater. Her former assistant coach was our men's side assistant coach and also started for us at center back too, and captained us a few times. So, it's been, I mean, I don't want to gush too much, but these people I'm working with have energized me in a way I haven't been in a while. And, I'm humbled to kind of see where they take it. So on that, Liz, I know we had something else, but Carissima and Liz, I actually have a question from Protagonist, a local or publication that is national for lower grassroots soccer. And Liz, you might be able to give some insight, and Carissima, definitely you as well, being that you play the sport and you've played in Buffalo. What has Buffalo has a massive local leagues that feeds to the men's club with talent. What's the WOSO situation? This is from Protagonist. How can you guys answer that question?
Yeah, I'll let Carissima take that one.
I would say there's definitely not as many opportunities for, women in the Buffalo area. We don't have as massive of a local league. It's not anywhere near as built up. So I think, that's going to be a really important part of having this FC Buffalo team in the area now for, women who still want to play at a high level to now have that opportunity. I think is going to be, really important. And that's, I think, in the future also going to lead to being able to build up, other leagues and other teams as well.
Perfect.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, I mean, the wealth of talent that we have here in Western New York is big. So the fact that there was that void was one of the reasons that we wanted to jump on this, because we want the youth in the area to aspire to something that they can attain here locally. So, I mean, just the wealth that the talent that we have here at that younger level, I mean, it's incredible.
There's a guy out here that a lot of people know. His name's Ken Vogt, and he runs the Upstate Women's League. And I think they've always and probably by the nature of, I love the BDSL, which is the men's league that Protagonist mentioned. I've played in it since 2004, more or less. But the difference is us, not to be along gender lines here, but us guys kind of self-aggrandize ourselves a little bit more. So we're more on Twitter, we're more on social media. In the Upstate Women's League, I think is probably primed for a breakthrough. And I think their leadership, as well as the BDSL leadership, I wouldn't be surprised to see as we grow and they grow, that it all comes together, because what Liz said is absolutely right. We've got a lot of good men's players and boys players in Buffalo. The women's, it's out of this world. I mean, I'm so excited to see this team on the field and how it comes together through our coaching staff.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the insight on that. I hope that answered your question, protagonist. Good question, but we'll see, right? The only way we'll know is on the pitch. So, Liz, you were in country radio, and then you joined the men's side, and now the director on the women's side. What has the journey been like for you?
Nick reached out to me on Twitter when I moved. I said before, soccer was a way for me to get to know people. And when I moved to Buffalo, it was post ACL tear, so I wasn't playing anymore. But I found the local soccer bar, and I kind of made my group of friends around it, and we called it Soccer Sunday, and we went to all the FC Buffalo games, and I was a fan, and I talked about it on the radio. And so, Nick reached out to me and asked me if I'd be interested, and said sure. And then, I learned more about the club and what it stood for, what he stood for, what he wanted to do. And I 100% wanted to be a part of it because of, the mission and what we're trying to do as a club. And so when this opportunity came up, why not jump at it, to be able to be on the ground floor of something that could really be special and unique in this area. So I did. And it's been so much fun, from, just doing what I could do, pitching in here and there, whatever you needed. You want me to set up cones? Let's do it. To now taking on this role. It's exciting.
That's awesome. Charisma, you get to continue your career in Buffalo. What made you think about joining FC Buffalo, and what are you looking forward to this season?
Yeah, I think Buffalo is going to be a really exciting place to be this summer. I'd say I'm most looking forward to, having the opportunity to compete at that high of a level again. That's something that I've definitely missed a lot since my college career. And like I mentioned before, there isn't a whole lot of opportunity around this area to play at that level. So that's definitely something I'm really excited about. And I think, Buffalo's been my hometown. I've grown up here. I've played just about every level of soccer that you can in this area, from youth teams to high school, and then, finishing off my college career. And I think now to have an opportunity to continue down that path, to now play at the highest level of women's soccer in Buffalo is going to be really special. And it's definitely an opportunity that I'm looking forward to.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to seeing you play this summer. It's gonna be awesome to see what happens, right? Because there's always there's always those opportunities to score a golazo in front of family and friends, and it can always change.
Definitely.
Nick, how has being around the game, working with NBC Soccer, prepared you for this season? Your role as a now founder and co-owner, how has it prepared you? You had a lot of conversations with Rebecca Lowe.
I haven't picked her brain yet, but I can tell you that the soccer community is always been really interesting. And I was actually kind of blessed that, my buddy is the assistant coach on the North Carolina Courage, Scotty Vallow, who used to play for the Rochester Rhinos. Jackie Maynard's a friend of mine, who's the communications director of the Orlando Pride. And, there are Buffalo people everywhere. One of our former players is on the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, and I'm missing out on a good pal of mine, Bobby Shuttleworth, who's like a 13-year veteran in MLS. So it's been neat from that perspective. But in terms of what I do every day for work, I think you just see a lot of times the people who represent things either the wrong way or the right way. And then your job is, when it comes up to you, how do I make this a part of what we do? And, just through the thread, through the group chats we have with the Women's Advisory Board and Liz and the players, when the story came out yesterday with like Sue Bird and Alex Morgan coming out with their clothing line, I was like, well, how cool is this? Like, what can we do to kind of, endorse this or put our own spin on it? So I mean, if you're always learning, you're always learning, I guess would be the right way to put it. And my job gives me the chance to read about soccer like 45 hours a week, which is nice.
Liz, how does your role change from being a Swiss Army knife for the men to now the director for the women's side?
I don't want to downplay the role at all, because it's really important, and I'm excited to lead. But I think one of the things that I love about the organization is that we're all here for each other, and we're all working on things together all the time. So it's not like, all right, now I get to tell people what to do. Like, that's not what this club's about. But I am excited to be able to take a bigger approach to things, and kind of, spearhead things, and be able to take on a bigger role, and, take on more work, and really help out Nick and everyone else, and kind of shoulder some of the responsibility. But it's definitely a team effort here on and off the field.
Nice. And then Carissima, besides having the experience of playing at the UWS level and playing at a high level as you have, what are you hoping to bring to the club this year and into the future as a player?
I'm hoping to bring leadership to this team, this year and into the future. I think the UWS is such a unique opportunity where girls, from all over the country, different schools, different states, different backgrounds, come together to represent a city. So I think, I'm really looking forward to hopefully being a person who can help bridge those differences, and, really help a group of people come together to make a team and to represent Buffalo as best as we can.
And before we get into questions concerning the club, I'd like to get your guys' take, and Nick, you might have more insight on this, but what does the announcement and the alliance with NISA mean to the community and to WOSO in general as it relates to the landscape of professional women's soccer in America?
Well, I mean, I think it's really cool, largely because the country still is so kind of nascent in where it's going with soccer, but it's always been a leader in women's soccer. And I think that's why we're at where we are now. The reason we're World Cup winners time and again on the women's side is because we took action when the passion was there from amongst the mothers and daughters and aunts of this country. So I think with what Nice is doing, it's really intriguing because it's at a grassroots level, and we've seen leagues grow, we've seen them fold, we've seen them do it the right way and do it the wrong way. But Nice really does seem, especially in targeting, if you will, UWS, a league that we were lured to mostly because it spoke to not an exclusiveness, but are you going to do this the right way? I mean, do you care about this for the right reasons? Are you there to collect a check? And we're not. Trust me. Ask my wife. Right, being in year 12 of this, we're not here to collect a check. We're here to build something up. And Liz taking kind of her space from radio to us, and Carissima, who, I mean, let's not undersell the caliber of player in this area. You're talking someone who is on an NWSL draft list. I think every UB game, it being my alma mater that I went to, she scored at least a goal. So it's just really, really exciting to, just as an addendum, it was 15 years ago that my little cousin was playing with my sister on the local private school team, a local Catholic school team, and she went D1, and it kind of blew my mind. And now it seems like we're putting out 20, 25, 30 D1 talents a year. I mean, for that to all be in my hometown, man, I hope the boys can catch up.
Nice. Well, let's talk about the club and kind of get into some of those questions. Starting off with, how much planning did it take to come up with the women's team, and what was the thought process behind it? Obviously, with the COVID situation, there's the opportunity to plan a little bit more, have some extra time, because we're in a situation where we're not playing. But what was it like?
Liz?
Well, I mean, honestly, Nick's mentioned it to me in the past year or two about the idea of being able to expand the team into this space. But it wasn't that long ago where we were having a team meeting, and he goes, I have an idea. Hear me out on this. And myself and Ryan, who's also with the club, we're like, yeah, let's do it. And at first I was a little apprehensive because I'm like, that's a lot. Like, that's a lot to take on to try and launch a team, especially during COVID. But he said it before, you know, the advisory committee that we have that includes Charisma and just some of these, I mean, they're passionate about the game. They're passionate about progressing the game, and they're dedicated. And that's really what you look for in starting any project or any business. You want people that not only just want to be around for it, but want to be part of it and want to make sure it ticks. And they check all the boxes off and more, and have really made this not daunting at all. I mean, yeah, it's still, you know, we still have a lot to do and put together, but it's truly been it's been incredible, and I'm so happy we jumped like head first. Let's do this, and it's been great.
How did UWS check all the boxes for you guys to join? Obviously, there's a lot of opportunity for other organizations or other leagues, but how did the UWS check those boxes for you to want to join that league?
Well, I mean, I think we had seen success, right? We had seen in our area, we're also in a men's division of the NPSL with the Rochester Lancers. So they love a doubleheader. So we've had to watch games, right? And I remember distinctly, I mentioned earlier our men's assistant, Casey Durkaz, who's also an assistant with UB where Charisma played. And I remember him being like, well, she goes to my school and she's coming to our school next year. And you're watching this and being like, well, if they're coming to Buffalo, it's kind of stinks that they have to go out to Rochester, right? And just, the genesis of what Liz said, I can't say enough about this women's advisory board. When I went to Courtney, what amazed me is I said, let's make a diagram of the best players in the area, and the nicest, kindest, smartest players in the area. And where it met in the middle, she's like, well, here are these names. And Charisma's name came up, and Danny's name came up, who was one of our first player we signed, and Gabe Wilson, and whom am I missing now? Well, we got to Depot too. She Kathleen DiPasquale, who has coached at this level before. And what amazed me was that it was like, would they be interested was my thing. And I didn't know, what if we got one of those four people to help, how amazing would that be? And everyone is not just joined, but they've bought in, and I don't have to do anything. I mean, I'm doing, you know what I mean? The passion is just, if you come to one of our meetings and you can't because they're confidential, John, it's energizing. You get so fired up and you don't want to let these people down. And that's a powerful motivator.
So what is being a powerful motivator in those meetings that I'm not able to attend yet? What is the overall mission of the club?
I mean, I said it before. I mean, it's building something more than just a winning team. I mean, that's important, but we want to build a team that not only the city's proud of, but that youth players, girls or boys, can look up to. I mean, that's a big part of what FC Buffalo is too. I mean, it's this sport that is inclusive. I mean, it's the biggest sport in the world, and we have that diversity in our backyard. I mean, Buffalo has a wealth of different cultures, and all of them love the game. So why not be able to make this available to not just the little boys in the area, but the girls in the area too, and vice versa, and come together as one club. And that was important for us too. I mean, we're FC Buffalo, whether you've got a man standing next to you or a woman standing next to you on the pitch. We're FC Buffalo, and that's important to us, and hopefully important to the community. Because I don't know if you know this, Buffalo is a little rowdy about their sports teams. They're a little passionate about it, and we want to carry that passion, but we also have a reputation of being good neighbors and being very charitable, and we want that to follow into our club too.
What you might not know, Unity FC down in Florida, actually the owner, Mark and Chris Ford, are from Buffalo. So he's a huge Buffalo Bills fan. And every time we have a meme that goes back and forth, a GIF that is, hey, get the tables, because he is Bills Mafia. So I hope that that kind of continues with you guys. But I have to ask, Charisma, in terms of being a product of Buffalo and being able to be on the pitch, you obviously are going to have a different view than Liz and Nick. What is a reasonable goal for the inaugural year of the club as somebody who's going to be on the pitch?
Well, as a player, I have to say, I want our team to win. But I think beyond that, we just want, as Liz has said, we want the community to come together. And we've already seen it since the announcement. We've had such a great community outreach, and we just want to build, something stable for this community and be able to, have it going for years to come, for those younger players to look up to. So, we want to be successful. We want to win games, but we also want to build something that's long lasting. And, when people think of Buffalo sports, we're hoping that FC Buffalo, both the men's and the women's side, is added right in there with, the other professional sports teams here.
So speaking of sports teams and kind of the color schemes, right? You guys have the same color scheme as the Buffalo Sabres. Obviously, Nick having hockey in his background, that kind of had to play, I think, some way. But Protagonist asks, they always have loved the FC Buffalo crest. Will the women's team have different kits from the men's team?
So what was really inspiring, and I forget who said it first, it was either Gabe or Courtney, was when we talked about, because Liz and I had a really long discussion along with Ryan about, well, what is this supposed to be? We see what it is overseas. Are we supposed to have a different name? Like, what is the right way to address this, to give it the appropriate amount of sincerity? Because it wasn't like, this was completing the club. And that was this was something that was missing. And, a relationship we wanted with the women's side of the game. So, we love our crest as well. It was important that we have the same colors. That said, we do plan on having at least 2 different jerseys. This is really hard. So Liz knows me. I'm really bad at keeping secrets. I can't be more excited about the plan that we have. And it's so darn close to coming out. But I can tell you that if you're in Buffalo, you are going to think, holy cow, that's a really great idea. And I don't try to sell things in a way, I mean it. Like, if you're not impressed by this, you're not paying attention. So, we're going to be called FC Buffalo because when we asked Gabe and Courtney and Carissima and Depot, they were just like, well, we're the club, right? And with a similar level of awesome satisfaction to hear that as when I asked my son, who's 10, and listen, John, you look like you're a little bit younger than me, but our generation, you grew up and where women's sports is now versus where it was at the turn of the century. I asked my son, I was like, hey, listen, I think we're going to get a women's team. Are you going to want to come to the games with me? And he looked at me, he was like, yeah. Like, it was, like, there wasn't anything. It was just like, oh yeah, we're going to go to a soccer game. Right. So I just think the potential here is out of this world.
Well, I appreciate you giving me a little credit for being younger, but I actually think I'm older or the same age. So that's okay. That's okay. It's interesting, right? Growing up, your father or your grandfather always told you about the teams they watched or the teams that they were a part of, and they were never women's teams. They were always men's teams. So as I got older, I was able to have the opportunity to pay closer attention and see the women's game. So there's a lot of opportunity out there, especially in Buffalo, anywhere in America, obviously. But a friend of the show, Jake, he is a huge Houston Dash fan. He had a question he wanted to ask you guys, to all 3 panelists. How has your preseason been coming along? And do you have any scrimmages against an NWSL team or a UWS team upcoming?
You guys first.
Is the NWSL coming to us?
Are they tested? Yeah.
Right now we're still in the process of, putting together the final parts of the team. So as far as that aspect, I don't think we have any scrimmages planned quite yet. But we're excited to get the women out on the field and see the chemistry and see them working together.
Still rather early, Jake, but we'll have, as soon as announcements are made, we'll make sure we get something out. I have to ask, so there are so many new teams in the eastern part of the country, as well as existing teams. Some of them are really, really good clubs and organizations in New York and New Jersey already. what is going to separate you guys from those clubs? And we'll get into who those clubs are eventually.
I mean, Carissima, I'd love to hear kind of your take on this because you know the style and you know all of that. But the one thing that I want to say is what we've learned on the men's side, and is certainly going to trace right over to the women. I know is we're tough people. You know, you don't go through minus 15-degree weather, although it's obviously getting warmer because of science. But we're a very, very tough people. And when you go to, you know, again, I keep mentioning UB, but there's Niagara, there's Canisius, there's so many good schools here. But when you go to UB games and you watch women out there in, you know, negative 10 degrees and, you know, half of them aren't even doing the glove thing. I mean, I wouldn't want to fight a girl from the city. Let me put it that way. If I knew someone was getting in a fight, even if they were close to me, I would bet on the Buffalo girl. So I'm just so excited because they're the best we have to offer, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I would just mimic what Nick said. You know, when you think of when you think of Buffalo, it's very blue collar, hardworking, and I think, you know, the soccer players who are products of this town and this area are, you know, they are just that. And I think especially with being the first year of FC Buffalo, you know, we want to represent it well. We want to make something long lasting here. So I think all the girls who are going to be on the team and, you know, on board with this idea, you know, I think you can just expect a really hardworking, tough team.
So let's think about who's in just New York and New Jersey alone, right? So somebody that you share borders with. You have FC Copa, the Lancers in Rochester, the New Jersey Teamsters, Albany Rush, Brooklyn City. All of these are essentially fighting for not players, but they're able to recruit as well. Who of these becomes an instant rival? Obviously, with past experience, maybe Rochester, but who becomes the rival? And can we create a Hudson River shootout style tournament or a trophy for the winner from these established and fine organizations?
Yeah, probably. I've always, you know, on the men's side, I've always been that guy who's like, we have such a short season. You know, can we throw in a couple games? I ask the guys in our PSL, region. It is me and Cleveland always saying, let's get a cup, let's have a bracket, let's have a draw, let's play for some silverware. So I already mentioned we have a similar sponsor. It's the same sponsor with the Rochester Lancers, Donuts Delights. So I was like, listen, we can call it the Donut Derby and get it going. But I mean, Carissima, you have known girls to be on the Rochester team. When we were first talking to you, you even mentioned like, if we're going to do this, we should do it soon, so girls don't commit over there. What would you say?
You know, I think off that list, I would definitely say Rochester comes to mind. A few years ago when I played in the UWS, Rochester was always just that team that, you know, they were tough, hard-fought games. So I definitely think we'll probably have that rivalry with Rochester.
So what is the strategy for the club as it concerns to youth development going forward? How are you guys going to use the youth programs in the area to potentially bring them on board with the UWS team?
Yeah. Well, listen, similar with what we did with the men's team, you know, we're always talking to the different, you know, youth organizations in the area, trying to get them out to the games, you know, as a team bonding experience to kind of get them, you know, they're not brainwashed. That's the wrong word to use, but get it in their heads that like, look, we're here for you. This is what we're here for. This is one of our purposes. We are here to show, you know, the youth leagues in the area that there is a place for you to go. You know, you don't just have to like hang up your hat and be like, well, this is fun. No, we have something for you, and the community that rallies around you. You know, our supporters club, the Situation Room, is incredible, and for kids to come and see that atmosphere. You know, normally that's something that you see, you know, only on TV when the national team is playing. No, we have that right here. Like this is something to aspire to, and this is something to want to be a part of. And you know, that's something that's important to us.
What should fans be excited about and look forward to this coming year?
You know, I'll latch on to what Liz said just to include that. You know, we've been very very, very, very careful to not get involved in directly into that youth soccer climate, because there are people who are going to do it with more passion and more efficacy than us. So I think you should be excited to come out to Buffalo and have a universal soccer experience. And the reason I put it that way is just because there is always going to be competition, and it's natural. And right, so by the time that Carissima gets to UB, she went to Will South. There's probably a Will North kid on the team or a Will East kid, and you become kind of part of this overarching organization. And what we kind of hope is that as we drag rivals from UB, Canisius, Niagara, Damon, all the local youth programs under one umbrella, like we're telling you your club's great. Like all of your clubs are great. And, you're not a unique and special snowflake because we're all the same, right? We're all, whatever your walk of life is, whatever your, whoever you love, whatever team you love, that, it's come on out. And, the blue and gold thing is something that I hope can catch on as just, it's not the primary color of really any of the quote unquote big groups. So let it be ours and let us be a home for everybody. Because frankly, we don't want to run a youth club. So
I have to ask, Liz, you might be able to answer this one. How is the supporters group looking, and can we expect a Bills Mafia type of group for FC Buffalo? Some let's get the tables out kind of thing?
As long as they don't jump on our tables, I'm fine with that.
We're limited on tables. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of them. No, they already have that Bills Mafia gusto to them. I mean, it's incredible. I remember the first game I went to when I came to Buffalo, and I was shocked. I had never seen anything like that at that level of the game, I guess is the best way to put it. And, they're there and they're dedicated and they love the team and they love what it stands for, and we can always count on them. I mean, I was blown away by it and the excitement that they have for the women's team. And I know they're going to show up and be supportive just as equally as they are for the men's side, because it is FC Buffalo. So I do think that Bills Mafia spirit that you're mentioning definitely becomes, the FC Buffalo Mafia, but we call them the Situation Room.
FYI, John, the guy who started the Bills Mafia hashtag is a season ticket holder. So, he's not a table guy, but, maybe we can make him one.
Nice. Well, that's good. We could definitely that'd be fun. I think watching people that could be like a goal celebration, right?
Safety first, John. Safety first.
I don't know. So listen, we have a new segment. Last week we had Troy Flannery, who is the coach of Impact out in Albert, Canada. He has a few questions he wanted to ask you. This is called Facts for Flan. And he asks, name 5 foods that would appear on a top 9 Buffalo food list.
Carissima, you take this one because Liz started in Ohio and I have a weird diet.
But I
number one.
Definitely have to start out with chicken wings with blue cheese, not ranch. Beef on weck is definitely another one. I would say sponge candy is a Buffalo dessert chocolate. Loganberry, the drink that a lot of people like. Let's see, what would be a 5th one?
Pizza logs?
Pizza logs. I don't know. Are those even a Buffalo thing? I've always loved pizza logs.
I think it's a Buffalo company. Yeah, they should reach out to us. They should totally reach out to us because I think there's a sponsorship opportunity. But I don't know about you guys. I think Buffalo pizza has its own special kind of place. People say it's the Great Lakes water or whatever, but I think Buffalo pizza has its own special
pepperoni. They have their special own pepperoni. They're these small little cups of grease.
Yep. Star pepperoni.
His next question is, what the heck is beef on weck?
Delicious. Do you want to take it, Chris, or do you want me to?
You can.
It's roast beef on a Kimmelweck roll, and basically on the roll is salt and caraway seed, and it's that. And then if you want a condiment on it, it's straight horseradish. Don't come in here with mayonnaise or cheese or anything. It's roast beef, horseradish with Kimmelweck roll. So, and if you want it soggy, you can get it soggy. If you want it dry, however you want it, as long as you don't put anything else on it.
And his last question, because the color scheme for FC Buffalo is similar to Impact, how will you pick your sock and short combo?
I mean, obviously, we're just going to do whatever they do, right? I mean, you follow Flan. If I've learned anything in my several days of knowing Flan.
He'll like that answer. That'll be his favorite answer of the day. All right, let's get into the hot seat. Let's put you guys under some flames here. First question out the gate. Quick answer. Each of you are going to have the opportunity to answer. If you could play soccer with any player in history, who would it be and why?
I mean, Lionel Messi. Lionel Messi. Absolutely. Because, I mean, I want that ball right on my foot, and then I want to pretend it was all me.
I have to go with Mia Hamm. I mean, she's just such a staple in women's soccer. Definitely Mia Hamm.
Yeah, my initial gut reaction was Mia Hamm, but then my mind went to Megan Rapinoe. That's the first soccer jersey I ever bought. Was a Rapinoe jersey, and I just think, even before she became this leader that she's kind of developed to in the past year or two, she's just always. I just wanted to hang out with her. Really, quite honestly, she just seems like a riot, no matter what she's doing.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nick.
No, I just wanted to say, as long as we're getting into the USWNT, that my favorite player by far is Kelly O'Hara. I was a forward, so anybody that's that tough and that fast, I've always kind of gravitated towards defenders. So I just want, as long as we're putting it out there, she's my favorite player.
All right, fair enough. Maybe we can work on something with Kelly O'Hara. She's an awesome person. She's probably watching. Hopefully, she's watching. We'll see. Favorite? What song are you playing before a match, Charisma? What song are you playing before a match?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. I guess I don't have a specific song. I don't like anything that's too fast or upbeat. I kind of like to stay pretty calm before games. I guess my senior year of college, we were listening to some country music before games, and that worked out well that season. So,
Liz?
I have to be honest. I don't normally listen to music before I would play, but my workout music, the thing that always got me was Bone Thugs and Harmony. Could be a Cleveland connection, I don't know, but it always kind of revved me up.
Nice. And Nick?
Oh yeah, man, this is my zone here. There's a lot of songs that fire me up. Weird ones. Jet by Wings is a big one for me. I'm a huge fan of listening to Rise Against and Pearl Jam before games. But my number one is a song called The Northern by Alexis on Fire. Just makes me want to punch waterfalls,
Well, it's better. My son has been he's in that age now where he wants pregame music, and he's been stuck on The Business by Tiesto. I don't know if you guys have heard that song. It's like a techno vibe. My son will play that on repeat, and I'm just like, what in the world is going on here? So that's what's on the playlist at the Ward household. Next question: beach or mountains?
I'm going with the beach.
That's a hard one.
I mean, yeah. I'm going with the beach.
Yeah.
It's only because right now I look outside and there's snow. So beach, but mountains are great. Big mountain guy.
My friends are hiking in Maine right now, and I wish I could be there, but beach for sure.
Most embarrassing soccer memory?
I once scored a goal on my sister who was on my team.
Oh,
So it wasn't youth.
yeah.
I think my most embarrassing is probably I got stung by a wasp on my back 3 times when I was younger playing, and I didn't know what was happening, so I was running off the field, and it was a mess.
Yeah, I coached a girls varsity team here for a little bit in Buffalo, and we had exactly 17 players, so it was a lot of 9v9, and so I would play center mid every practice when we scrimmaged. And as you get to know the girls and it becomes kind of like a family, you start playing a little bit harder and not wanting to lose. And it was me, and we would play against the 11 starters. So I would really be geared up. So I went to drill a 70-yard long ball that went 10 yards into my captain's face. And I felt bad about that for about 2 months.
Ooh, 2 months? That's all you felt bad for? Ooh.
I mean, it's a tough woman.
Okay,
Sorry,
fair enough. Fair enough. So, and then last question. We do have one question that just came in from a fan, but favorite soccer boot?
Oh, I don't know. All black. I used to be the garish colors. I used to try to find the ugliest one I could, but now like everyone you find looks awesome. So now I just like to wear the all black.
I like either all black or all white Nike Mercurials with the sock.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm trying to think the last time I owned an outdoor soccer shoe. That really ages me. It was all white, and I remember feeling like pretty fly when I came out on the field in high school. And I'm like, do you see this? Because everyone just had like the black Adidas or Nikes. And I'm like, you see this white shoe? And then, yeah, it didn't reflect my playing ability at all.
Nice. And Chris, I know you have to head out for training, but one question came in from a supporter. If you could sign an women's national team player or any international player to FC Buffalo or play with them, who would it be and why? Chris, why don't you go ahead and lead us off, and then you can take off for training, and then Nick and Liz.
Sure. That's such a good question. I think I would sign Christy Rampone. I think, we could definitely use a really solid center back, and I love her style of play and just her work ethic. So I would love to sign her to FC Buffalo if she's available out there.
Oh, I don't know. That's a hard one. I come more of like, who would sell the most jerseys for us? That's my marketing mind. So probably Alex Morgan, right? She's a big jersey star. Like really anyone on the national team would help sell some jerseys. But Chrisma definitely has a better approach to her picking than I do.
So I am going to go to when the women's team threw the celebrity names on their jerseys to kind of honor them a few years back. And at first I would go with, I liked that McCall, who I got to know when she was in Buffalo, McCall Zerboni, used Mother Teresa. But Becky Sauerbrunn going with RBG was so like outside the box for me and kind of represented not a shift in thinking, but I thought it was really bold and cool because you could go in any direction. So I also think she's the captain now, and she's an absolute monster at the back. And I think center backs and center forwards are the hardest things to find. So it was going to be one of those.
Awesome. Well done on the answering. You guys made it off the hot seat. Charisma, thank you so much for joining us. I know you've got to get out to training. Have a great session, and we hope to see you soon.
Thanks so much for having us.
Have a great evening, Charisma. So Liz and Nick, I have one more question for you before we get into Beyond the Pitch with our special guest, Nikki Bartholomew. What does community mean to you?
Ooh, how much time do we have?
You have as much time as Nikki's sitting there with her thumb up saying, go for it.
I think I have an interesting perspective on the community of Western New York because I did come, I grew up most of my life in Northeast Ohio. So we share the same lake. We share a lot of the same values. But what I found unique about this community is how small and big it is at the same time. It seems like everyone knows everyone here in Buffalo, for better or for worse. And the thing that impresses me the most is, Buffalo's known as the city of good neighbors. And it's true through and through. I mean, whether you're our literal neighbor or, we're donating to somebody on an opposing team's charity. So the community here is very unique and very special. And that's why I think, adding FC Buffalo women is just like a perfect time, because I really think the community will embrace it. And that's, again, what drew me to being a part of FC Buffalo is how much, Nick very much so cares about the community and leaving something better than we found it. And I think that's kind of our goal, when in 50 years, when Nick finally gets tired of doing this, I think the soccer community in Western New York is going to be better for it. Because of the passion that not only he has, but everyone that's involved with the club has for making a successful team not just on the scoreboard, but what we're doing in the community. Are we making an impact? Are people looking at us and saying, okay, I want to throw my money their way, not just because they're a winning team, but because they use every cent of that and they give it back as much as they can. And we know that we can count on them at the end of the day to do great and do right by us. And really that's the goal. And I think, Western New York and Buffalo is ready for something else. And especially coming out of COVID. I mean, just the chance to get fresh air and not have to watch a game on a screen. I just think, it's really exciting on so many different levels with the community as we move forward.
Yeah. I mean, John, I'm so excited because, you always hear those things. People say, that they're, it's not about me, it's about we. The basketball coach at Canisius here, he said something I loved when I was interviewing him once, and I asked him about a great play he called. His name's Reggie Witherspoon. He's an amazing guy. And he said, it's Nick, it's more about Jims and Joes than X's and O's. And, maybe, for this, we'll go with Tina's and Rose. But I just think that I kind of ache for everybody to be under one roof. I've seen over my time, I remember growing up, and I was fortunate enough that my parents are just some of the best people I've ever met. And I know everybody thinks that, but they taught me to treat everybody the same. And I think that getting to college and seeing that wasn't how it worked, you get the hints of that growing up, but when you're in the real world and you realize that the city you love, that there are divisions. And I know it's kind of silly to think that soccer could be that bridge, but I know it can, because it not only is it a great game, not only is the nature of the sport to sing songs together under the roof at All High Stadium, but it's an underdog thing, and we're an underdog city. And it's why I found so much love rooting for the men's national team. There was a coffee shop that used to open in Buffalo for the World Cup when it was in Korea. So I think that's 2002. And it would open at 3 a.m. And there were like 40 of us who would go to watch the games live because we couldn't stand to know if the U.S. would beat Portugal. Spoiler alert, they did. It was awesome. But we didn't know if they were going to do that, right? So we had to see it live. And I see that in our fans. And I think the last part of the story I want to share is I was at my son's practice the other night, and I ran into a buddy of mine who he's a communications director for the Sabres for a while now. He works for a great merchandiser that sells memorabilia called Dave and Adams, and they used to sponsor us, which is why I mentioned them. But his name's Chris, and his daughter's name's Rosie, and we were talking, and she was asking me about my day job and Rebecca Lowe and this and that, and she said she loves Spurs, and I said, well, who's your favorite player? And this 14-year-old girl goes, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and it just blew my mind, because in the 90s, we were watching just Manchester United because it was the only game that MSG would pick up. Every week it was whoever they were playing, which is probably why I never became a fan. And now you've got this nation of guys. My son was enthralled by the Women's World Cup winners, and Rosie Bandura out there is thrilled by this guy who likes to put his studs through people's ankles and distribute the ball well, who's when my nerd soccer friends talk about soccer, we talk about Højbjerg. And I think that shows where we're going, where this country's going to go with it. And, if we can be the version of that goes community first and isn't about taking a couple of grand from, not there's anything wrong with that, but taking a couple of grand from, a family, instead saying, hey, can you give us $50 and come hang out with us 6 or 7 times? I'm all about that. Awesome.
Well, Nick and Liz, thank you so much for, first off, starting such a great organization in Buffalo. I think this is it's truly remarkable what we're able to do and come up with during these times of COVID, even before. I know the planning has been a long time coming for this, and I'm really excited to have an opportunity to make it out to Buffalo to watch this organization, this community grow together. And I can't wait to see what happens in the future. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
We'll have a table ready for you.
Yeah. 20 minutes from the falls, man. It's a natural wonder. Everybody come to Buffalo for a game. All of you.
And we're all staying at Nick's house. Nick's
no, it's very small. It's very small.
Well, thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate it. We will talk to you all very soon.
Hi, Nikki.
The next segment is dedicated to highlighting individuals who represent our organizations and our communities doing awesome things in it away from the field. This individual could be a supporter, a club staff, or even a player who is going further to support their community. And with that, tonight, I am honored and privileged to have the opportunity to talk with Nikki Bartholomew. Nikki, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, it's great. I'm excited to have this opportunity to talk about what you've got going on. So, Nikki, do me a favor. Can you kind of explain to people your role and what you do in Buffalo?
Yeah, sure. So Algonquin Sports for Kids actually is a nonprofit, and we provide youth sports programming to underserved communities of Buffalo. Our biggest project is a program called Soccer for Success, which is actually a national program through the U.S. Soccer Foundation. And we've been totally blessed to have that since its infancy in 2012. And I basically have many roles pertaining to the hiring of coaches, recruiting coaches, mentoring coaches, making sure they're trained, and also being a coach mentor myself. So working with the kids on the field in our program. So awesome things that we do with our youth and providing free or low cost programming, especially through.
What are some of the other programs? I know that it's not just Soccer for Success. You guys do a lot of extra things, and the idea has been around since 2009. Kind of give us some insight. How has it grown? What is it? How many kids are being served? Is it an after school program? Is it help students with academics? What else does it highlight?
Yeah, so we try to focus on sports. Our other sports programming actually involves skateboarding and tennis. COVID has kind of turned a little things to a virtual experience through those programs, if you can imagine. But even the Soccer for Success program is curriculum based, and the U.S. Soccer Foundation put out a virtual program for these times. But we're excited to get outdoor in April in all of those programs. So looking forward to that. But we started with soccer back in 2007, I believe it was, and under the umbrella of we called it Buffalo Soccer Club. And mostly because the people that were involved in forming this organization had a heart and passion for soccer. So that was kind of the first sport that we leaned towards. But we're also, like I said, doing currently skateboarding, tennis, and we're even building a track and field curriculum right now. So it's super cool.
That's awesome. And how is the organization looking to perhaps partner with the FC Buffalo women?
Yeah, I think there's always opportunities in the past, at the very least, to get our kids at some games, right? But we're definitely looking to, we kind of serve that kindergarten through 8th grade bracket, and we are really looking to fill the gap. There's a high school age kids who maybe just play one season in high school, but don't have any outside entity of their high school team to play in. And we're looking to, fill that gap. And maybe there's a partnership there in the future to help with that. I know FC Buffalo, obviously being based in the city of Buffalo, and being someone to kind of look to and aspire to as far as a name and a face. And us being on the youth side, I think they're always, there's never a door that should ever be closed. It should always be stayed open. So we're looking forward to maybe some partnership there.
And Nikki, one last thing, how can people find out more about the program and how to get involved if they have a youth, or even to perhaps, be charitable and give time or asset to this organization?
Yeah, absolutely. So our Algonquin Sports for Kids website is as4kids.org. That's as4kids.org. For the Soccer for Success, buffalosoccerforsuccess.com. If you're looking to have a player join, then that's the best website to go to. And we're definitely have a presence on social media, so you can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, those types of things as well. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, Nikki, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us and give us some insight into what you're doing that is helping the community in Buffalo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us this evening for UWS Weekly. Stay tuned for some exciting things coming from the league this month in honor of Women's History Month. You can follow all things UWS and UWS2 on their social media pages and send your questions for future shows as well. Until Thursday, when we'll be joined by FC Austin Elite, have a great evening and weekend. Cheers, everyone.